better start. When I watch that tape, I want to see 5 guys playing in a stance, bouncing, stunting, swarming, defensive rebound attempts. I want to see him at a high level, but I also want to see us hit balls. And then just build, so we know, okay, so we a lot in that first game with lack of execution. That game we didn't run wide. We had 30 opportunities to run, and probably half of them we ran down the middle of the lane. It gave us nothing. So we worked on it. We worked on the toughness things and see if that gets us better.
Say a better start. Talked the other night about maybe starting like.
Yeah, he's going to start. I don't know who else, how else to go, but it's obvious. I mean, what happened is everybody saw it. Like, okay, he's starting. Who are you going to bring off the bench? I mean, there was no question. Anybody in the building or the 9 states that watched it. So now it's like, what are we going to do? And what I may do is, start one group at start the game and start another group the second half, and then you can judge. So.
Now, what about defensively? What do you want tomorrow night defensively?
Well, this team will be, they're bigger, maybe a little bit faster, where we, against Transy, there were opportunities for them to beat us on the dribble where they didn't keep going. This team will keep going, so we're going to see how we are in our ball defense, on-ball defense. But, I'm just looking for us to get better. We're going to play 8 guys, and the 9th man is Jared. That's what we have. That's who we'll play. And I want to see Kyle play better. I know how good he is. I know how he's played. He didn't play that way. I want to see Anthony play tougher. He had 8 blocks and 8 rebounds, but he didn't. He's got to be a stronger player, tougher player.
Given his build, he's a slender guy. How can he get tougher?
You got to bend your legs. If you play straight up and down, you're gonna get pushed by everybody. We worked on it this week. Just you got to bend over. You got to get lower. And the smaller that other player is, watch this. The lower you have to get. If that dude's 6'3", then you better get your hips down to that level that his are. You can't stand straight up. The one kid pushed him out of bounds and they called a foul, but the reality of it is the kid probably barely nudged him and the kid fell out of bounds because he was standing straight up again. But he's worked on it. He's been better.
Is that something he can do naturally if he thinks to do it, or does he have to be taught how to do it?
Just have to train. You got to have a habit. His habit is to stand straight up and down on drives. His habit is to fade away on shots. His habit, defensively and offensively, is to stand straight up and down, not play low. And we just stop him in practice. Are you standing up or are you down? You're standing up. Get down. Bend your legs. And so, but he's responding. He's trying. It's not changing overnight. He's got a ways to go with that.
Look at the press. He calls a few turnovers back-to-back changes. That's still something that you're looking to implement even more.
Well, here's what we did. We probably spent 15 minutes on the press before we pressed in that game. So then I saw where we were with it. Now I've spent time really showing them where they're supposed to be, the rotations that we want to have. And so now we should be a better pressing team than we were that game. But you're playing against a team that'll probably try to beat us on the dribble, which means whoever's guarding the ball better be able to contain him somewhere. But we didn't work on it a whole lot. We didn't work on switching defense. So they made 4 threes because when we switched, instead of coming together and saying switch, which we hadn't worked on, they just went. Like, I don't know what that means, but I know this, no one guarded that guy that went out, and they made the 3. So we worked on switching if we choose to do that. But we've got a lot of stuff we've got to do right now.
Yeah, the guys said that you worked on toughness the last few days, like rebounding, drills, one-on-one, the loser has to run.
Yeah.
How do you envision that as a long-term, day after day kind of thing?
I don't think every day, but I think when you watch and you see your team's not playing tough enough, you go to those things. I'm not doing it if we're playing rough enough and we're playing. The one other thing we weren't able to do is hold a post position against transient. We had post ups, but we couldn't hold the position. So they got behind us and pushed us out to 12 feet. We started at 7, we caught it at 12. Well, you can't be that way anymore. So we've done some of that stuff. I mean, we've got a lot of holes, and we're still learning and still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to play. We still don't, until I start watching game after game to where I'm comfortable, okay, this is who we are, or how they're going to try to take away what we're going to do. And the good news with our schedule, you learn right away. You got Marist, a good team. Then you go Kansas, on the road. Then you go tip up, on the road. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you look around and you go, we're playing North Carolina, who we're not ready to play. You have an Indiana game on the 5th. You're like, you'll figure out what's going to be good and what's not going to be good in those games.
What's Stacy Poole's status with Mark?
Still on a roster.
One other thing about Anthony, he said on the high school level, he did not post up a whole lot. He almost sounded like a guard bringing the ball up. How do you envision that process of
I don't know if that we'll do much of that. I didn't do much of that with Marcus Camby. I think my team, I remember back way then, we did okay. We played all right without posting him up. We posted other guys up. We used him in ways that he was better suited, and that's what we'll do with Anthony now. Post up Terrence Jones, you post up Michael Gilchrist, you post up Darius, you post up Kyle Wilshire, you throw lobs, you run him to the rim, you make him guard that, you let him be a secondary rebounder or offside rebounder, and you fly him up and down the court where their big guy cannot stay with him because he runs too fast. So you use the things that he does well instead of trying to force him. But he's done fine. I mean, his biggest thing is he tries to fade away from contact. You can't. You create the contact without, not an offensive foul, but you create contact and you keep people on their feet. I've been over all those kind of things. He's still standing straight up and down.
What else did you want to see from Kyle?
He was, I think there was some anxiety first night out. 20-some thousand in the building. He's looking like, oh my gosh, knowing it's on TV, everybody's watching. He got in, and I don't think he played as well as he has been playing. Broke off a lot of plays, which is normal. He's thinking instead of playing, but I think he'll be fine. And I think, he's really trying to do the right things. And just got to get him time.
Even with all the other things Anthony can do you want him to develop into a guy who posts some, who has that?
Yeah, but that's not how we're going to win. I mean, we're not going to come down and post him 22 times in a game. Now, other teams have guys that'll try to do that. Every single time down, we're trying to throw him the ball in the post. And if not, we'll go high-low. Well, with one, we don't play that way anyway, but, we're not going to do that anyway. But there'll be players that he should be able to post up and score on. But they better be real skinny.
Cal, Missouri seems to bring a better basketball pedigree to the conference. Just your thoughts on
Well, both Texas A&M and Missouri, you're talking NCAA tournament basketball programs. It's historically, that's what they've been. So you're talking great schools, great fan support, athletic programs. And I said today that my wife grew up in Missouri, Osceola, Missouri. My in-laws still live there. So I'm happy they're in there.
Cal, the other day on your website you put a recruiting message, and you seem to suggest anyway about some negative recruiting out there. Is there more than usual this time around?
I don't know. You guys have to figure out my messages. I talk very cryptically. People that need to get hit in the head get hit in the head. No one else knows who the heck is he talking about.
Well, what were you trying to get across with that message?
I can't remember. What was the message? What did I say?
You seem to suggest that there's some negative recruiting, and for people, desperate people will say desperate things, and if it's too good to be true, then it probably is too good to be true. That sort of thing.
Is that all true statements?
Yes,
okay.
In a general sense.
Right.
You didn't mean anything more specific in mind?
Let me say this. When you throw a rock in a pack of dogs, the one you hit yelps like him. He just yells, and let the message stand. We don't talk about anybody. We don't promise starting positions, minutes, all that stuff. You're not going to be the only guy. This is how we recruit. And that's my message was, you all know this is how we recruit. We're not desperate. This is what we do.
Have you been hearing from guys that you are recruiting that people say negative things about you?
You'd have to ask them.
Did you hear any yelping after you posted that?
Did we hear any yelping? I don't follow up. I don't look at any of this stuff. See, the great thing is, if you send a letter to me that's not postmarked or not addressed, I never read it. So you're not going to send me something that I don't know the address to send some back. And he'll tell you, I never look at any of the responding Twitter, Facebook. I just give you my message. To be honest, I really don't care what your message back to me is. But I'm just saying, here's how I feel about things. And the crazy thing is, I think people want to know, well, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? And, you know, sometimes Dwayne says, please, Cal, don't. Just stop. Just don't say it. But, you know, but it's all good stuff. I mean, it's, some of it was in jest and some of it was, you know, my messages. You guys read into them more than I read into them. You sometimes know what I'm thinking, which is hard because I don't know what I'm thinking most times. But you guys all know.
So there wasn't anything in particular that made you want to get that message out?
I just sat there one day and said, wait, why don't we write this?
That's the way I do it.
What sort of interaction have you had with Stacy in terms of his situation? It sounds like he's at a crossroads.
You know, my whole thing with all of these kids, you want them to be able to reach their dreams here. They've got to believe they can do that, and we're going to let him make his decision. And I'm for the kids. I mean, I'm not, you know, if you need some time to make a decision about being in this program, I'm fine with that. Big time decision. So why you don't do it right now? You're out. Come on now. I mean, this is, you know, it's a big time decision. We all love the kid. It's been hard. He wants to play. I don't blame him. You know, it's, you want to play, but great kid too. He's a great kid. All right, thanks guys.